there is widespread panic among Democrats. I got a number of text messages this evening, Democrats reaching out to say this is difficult to watch. Where does this go from here? One Democratic lawmaker, Tom, going so far as to say this race is effectively over.
You know, one of the things was, would either candidate look like the caricature that the other campaign has been trying to paint of him? And at the end of the day, Joe Biden looks like the caricature that conservative media has been painting. And there were no clips tonight, right? This was, you saw it before your eyes. Look, I don't want to just tell you what I think here, Tom. I've been talking to a lot of leaders in the Democratic Party, electeds, coalition leaders. There's a full-on panic about this performance. Not like, oh, this is recoverable. It is more of a, okay, he's got to step aside. There's a lot of that chatter. This is about as bad of a performance in order to that Biden could have delivered if his goal was to try to sort of calm the waters among Democrats. I mean, look, there
was a game-changing debate in the sense that right now, as we speak, there is a deep, a wide, and a very aggressive panic in the Democratic Party. It started minutes into the debate, and it continues right now. It involves party strategists. It involves elected officials. It involves fundraisers. And they're having conversations about the president's performance, which they think was dismal, which they think will hurt other people down the party in the ticket. And they're having conversations about what they should do about it. Some of those conversations include, should we go to the White House and ask the president to step aside? Other of the conversations are about, should prominent Democrats go public with that call because they feel this debate was so terrible.
America again, gang. And by morning, I mean MOURNING. The Democrats in D.C. and across the fruited plain are collectively shell-shocked. A grenade exploded in their midst. There's ringing in their ears. The world is spinning and swirling all around them. They are collectively stumbling out of that catastrophic bombshell last night. And now they're seeing their whole world collapse. We are going to find out exactly what really happened in last night's debate and what it all means as we march toward November and the triumphant return as number 47 of the one and only Donald J. Trump. Greetings, everyone. It is Live Stream Friday, and what a beautiful Live Stream Friday it is. I am your host, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times, or maybe we should be saying senile times. So whatever you do, just make sure to smack that bell and subscribe, and don't be like Biden there. You got to do it now, or else you're going to forget. You're going to be talking about Medicare or something. We're live on YouTube, Rumble, Twitter, you name it. We got a jam-packed show today, and I mean jam-packed, where you get right into analysis of what happened last night, and it's shocking, absolutely shocking fallout. Remember, as always, our super chats have unfortunately been completely disabled because we've been totally demonetized by YouTube. So if you want to ask me your questions during the show or just want to make a comment, I know you got a lot to talk about. Just click on that link below. We're going to fight.turleytalks.com. There it is, our app, fight.turleytalks.com. Sign up for any level of support that you like, and you have instant access to our private virtual platform where you can ask me all the questions you want. I'll answer them here on this live stream. So just click on that link below, go to fight.turleytalks.com, sign up for any level of support. I will be happy to answer your questions during this live stream. And lastly, remember, I got a huge announcement coming up. Many of you know I was in Utah a couple of weeks back with our team, and let's just say my team and I are working on something amazing. And this is going to be one of the biggest positive changes to Turley Talks that will benefit you, my fellow and courageous and loyal patriots, for years to come. We're planning a special event, a special unveiling in July to tell you all about it. So stay tuned, particularly for next week, for the details about the event. You're going to absolutely love it. I want to begin by telling you what I am not going to say. I am not going to spend time talking about how Biden did last night. No, I'm going to let them tell you how Biden did. I am going to allow the very legacy media for these last 3.5 years, the very legacy media who for these last 3.5 years did their absolute best to convince you and me that Joe Biden was the single greatest president we've ever had in the history of the human race. And I'm not exaggerating. I am not exaggerating in the least. Just last month, Bloomberg told us that Biden is the best president that business could ever hope for. You're seeing it with your own eyes, unless you're on our 20 million podcast downloads. It's a headline. It simply says exactly that. Biden is the best president that business can hope for. The best. He's the best. For you Nacho Libre fans. Or this. Remember when we were told by the legacy media, I kid you not, this is the headline, that Biden's age is his superpower. Do you remember this? This is a real headline from the Los Angeles Times. Or even more recently and frankly embarrassingly, NBC just weeks ago came out and warned their dwindling audience about how the Trump campaign, the evil Trump campaign, and those wascally Republicans were uploading misleading videos that they doctored to try to make it look like Biden, if you could believe it, was in cognitive decline. No. I'm not going to be talking about how Biden did last night. No, I'm going to let them tell you how Biden did last night. I'm going to let them get in front of the classroom and admit to the whole class with their heads lowered how they have been collectively lying to you these past 3.5 years. We will get to that in mere moments. Instead, I want to start by talking about what really happened last night. What was that? What did we all see? And I think the New York Post nailed it. Last night, we witnessed the end of Joe Biden's presidency. Plain and simple. Forget November. Even Democrats galore are admitting, as we'll see, even Democrats are admitting that's a foregone conclusion at this point. Forget November. The damage is done. I mean, gang, if you thought the polls had Trump in landslide territory before that debate, you ain't seen nothing yet. There is no rolling this back. Forget November. We're talking right now. Now, for all practical purposes, now the Biden presidency has come to an end. We cannot even begin to imagine the millions of voters who were utterly shocked by what they saw last night. I mean, we have to remember most people aren't like us. We're nerds, right? We're political nerds. On this channel, we're even worse. We're geopolitical nerds. Most people just go about their life. God bless them. I wish I was more like, I think we all wish we were more like this, right? Most people just go about their lives as they ought, trying to do what's best for them and their families. They're not keeping track every day of what's going on in the world's politics. They're not looking at the polls. They're not studying strategy. They're not thinking about, Trump's VP. They don't know any of that. All they do is generally get snippets of news, quick few second headlines from the legacy media when they get onto their, browser or whatever on the computer. And what have they seen over the last 3.5 years from that legacy media? The news has been what? Think about it. The legacy media has been telling these voters for the last 3.5 years, everything's hunky-dory. Yeah, the economy's stumbling a bit, but don't worry, it'll all turn around. Don't worry. Don't worry about the southern border. We don't worry about it, so you shouldn't. Inflation is actually really good for you. It might help you lose some weight as you have to skip meals. For 3.5 years, the legacy media has been telling tens of millions of voters that no matter what concerns they have, no matter what's happening out there, don't worry because Joe Biden is in charge. The adults are back and he's got your back. 24/7, 3.5 years. And then last night happened. Tens of millions did what Americans have been doing for decades. They tuned into the first presidential debate. Tens of millions who frankly haven't really been following the campaign or what's going on in DC. Remember, June tends to be, actually summer in general tends to be a response bias in the polls that favor Democrats. Republicans are out there at Little League with their boys, having, working hard, having fun with the family, going on vacations. Democrats are the ones who are basically holed up in their apartments in their metro cosmopolitan areas, answering the polls. Can't wait for a phone call from a pollster. The summer tends to be a lag period for Republican polling. So here we are in a lag period, and boom, they put a presidential debate right at the end of June. Okay, tens of millions. Come on, it's a little early, but let's check it out. And what did they see? They saw what you and I, being the political nerds that we are, they saw what we've been seeing for years now. They saw it. Tens of millions of people saw what we've been seeing for years now. And they were utterly shocked. They were aghast. Tens of millions of voters could not believe what they were watching. What really happened last night, make no mistake, what really happened is actually very, very simple. The mask got ripped off. The media mask got ripped off. Their charade came to a catastrophic end. Tens of millions of voters, for the very first time last night, actually saw the real Joe Biden. Not the Biden propped up by a propaganda media. No, the real Biden. And as a result, all that propaganda spewed out by these cosmopolitan media elites in an instant shattered. It imploded. And this morning, voters by the tens of millions no longer believe in Joe Biden. It is mourning in America, MOURNING. They no longer believe that Joe Biden is the adult. They no longer believe that he's in charge. They no longer believe he has their backs. Last night, Joe Biden effectively ended his presidency. Let's take a stroll down memory lane, shall we? Now, this is sweet. Revenge is best served cold, they say, which means you need to think about it before you act, of course. Well, I think we've thought long enough. Before I let the legacy media themselves tell you what a disaster last night was, why don't we refamiliarize ourselves with what they've been telling us for these last 3.5 years about this strong, vibrant, virile Joe Biden. Take it away.
Tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
She knows so long as she was 9.
In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has a photographic memory. His understanding and mastery of a complicated geopolitical situation is remarkable.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
I was sitting, 2 feet from him across the table, and he was, intense.
Have trouble walking sometimes? Yeah, so did FDR. He wanted GD war.
But he's totally focused. He's very sharp.
They say he's sharp in meetings and so on.
Very lucid, very well informed. Biden is stately, and he comes with gravitas. There hasn't been, as far as I know, a single claim that Biden made a mistake.
Ageism is an issue. Americans have a rich history of holding people's physical characteristics against them. Okay, you could ask African Americans.
He's older. That doesn't mean that he is unfit, and there's a lot of ageism there.
Now, this age attack, this obsession by the right.
Joe Biden may not be able to speak for himself the way that he used to.
They want to think to take on government if we get out of line, which they're talking again about, and that's him lying around.
I think people should be speaking up for Joe Biden.
Americans and reporters in the media are just judging him by a physical appearance, and it's horribly unfair. Age is an asset.
He showed exactly how with it he is.
The flip side of this coin is that he has a tremendous amount of wisdom and experience.
Have you heard any concerns from anyone who has met with President Biden about him seeming a little slower?
No.
More wild speculation from a bunch of people who have probably never been in a room with Joe Biden and certainly don't have medical degrees that I'm aware of.
You don't get paid for performance to be president. The job is not a job of endurance. I don't see Donald Trump out bike riding like Joe Biden.
It's the Hillary's email. All they have is that he's old.
He can clear a dementia bar, and that's probably a win.
The media are not fair, and they're getting less and less fair, and things are frightening. You have Wall Street Journal running a horribly sourced piece saying that Biden is unfit.
Dubious Wall Street Journal report about the president's acuity.
Shoddy story by the Wall Street Journal questioning Biden's mental fitness.
Wall Street Journal story had a lot of flaws, as you said. But Sinclair, they didn't do any original reporting. They didn't follow up. They didn't do any work.
The hero of today is Hirsch Goldberg Poland, and is still, he is not here with us, but he's still being held by Hamas.
But a huge part of the Mueller report talks about Russian disinformation tactics. And one of the themes this election cycle is that Joe Biden is too old to lead. And so everyone is seizing upon this. And it is a classic disinformation tactic. And I think the best thing that we can do is to prepare the American people for this false narrative.
Oh, a huge shout out to Grabian, as you could see, for putting that montage together. That was absolutely brilliant. That gang right there in a snapshot, that is our legacy media. That's our legacy media. Those are the self-proclaimed guardians of democracy. Wait until you see what they're saying today. You will... You will literally see the egg dripping off their faces. But first, gang, if you are just joining us, if you want to ask me your questions, because YouTube has suspended our Super Chats, just click on that link below. Join any one of our levels of support, and you have access to our very own virtual platform. We can ask me all your questions. I'll be happy to answer them in this live stream. Just click on that link below or go to fight.turleytalks.com. Join any level of support. We will give you immediate access to our private, exclusive virtual platform where you can ask me all your questions. I'll answer them right here on this live stream. Also, I got to tell you, gang, we've got some of the best sponsors out there. They're all patriots. They're all building the parallel economy. They're absolutely amazing. And this one is simply unbelievable. You have got to click on that link below. Oh, wait, dudes. Come on now. It ain't the honey. Come on, boys. Come on. Here we go. There we go. Come on, boys. Let's step up now. You have got to click on that link below and treat yourself and your loved ones to the most amazing soap I have ever encountered, made by our good friends over at Old Country Soap. Gang, I simply can't tell you how much I love this all natural soap. Just the scent alone is going to blow you away. It makes every morning in the shower absolutely paradisical. It's an all natural soap made on a farm in South Dakota using traditional techniques. They use only locally sourced special ingredients without the harsh chemicals that can dry out your hair and skin. Every bar includes pure and unfiltered bentonite clay. It works wonders. It helps to soothe and relieve dry and sensitive skin. It's known for its healing properties that help with psoriasis and eczema. It pulls dirt and oil out from your pores. It helps to clear up acne. I mean, it's amazing. I'm going to embarrass him here, but Josh, our producer, he struggles. Well, he said he struggles with acne. I've never seen it. I've always thought his complexion was quite wonderful. But he told us this week that he's been using Old Country soap regularly now for weeks, and he's already seeing a difference in his skin. It's absolutely amazing stuff. And of course, to top it all off, every bar is made right here in the USA. Use promo code Turley for an exclusive 20% discount off your order. And every order will include an extra gift. Just pay the shipping. It's more than worth it. Gang, this soap is wonderful. You're going to love it. I promise. And let us know how it's affected you in wonderful and amazing ways. So go ahead, reward yourself and this amazing Patriot product. You will not be disappointed. Click on that link below right now. All right, gang, here is just a sample of some of the headlines that came out immediately after the debate. Your Patriot professor was up late last night. I'm a little loopy this thing because I wanted to get the ethos of what happened literally seconds after the debate closed. Look at this from Politico, from freaking left-wing. Politico is embarrassingly left-wing at this point. And look at this headline. Biden is toast. 3 words. Biden is toast. The byline, Democrats are in full freak out over the president's debate performance. Here's a quick excerpt from the article. Quote, one major Democrat donor and Biden supporter who spoke on the condition of anonymity, of course, doesn't matter. Biden wouldn't remember his name to begin with. He said it was time for the president to end his campaign. This person described Biden's night as the worst performance in history. And look at this, gang, from the freaking Drudge Report. The backstabber par excellence. This was on Drudge before the debate had even ended. This was last night. Look at this. Operation Replace Biden. Dems scramble with 130 days to go. Debate catastrophe. I mean, it looks like old Drudge wants back on the Trump train. I mean, I look at the image of Biden that that Drudge is using up there. I mean, that says it all. I mean, look at that facial expression. It's so sad. The clueless, confused look. I mean, that frankly sums up his presidency brilliantly. And of course, we've got the satirical Babylon Bee. I don't know how they come up with these headlines so fast. This was up literally seconds after the debate. Trump indicted for murdering elderly man on CNN. I mean, it's so funny in so many ways. Trump indicted again, of course, right? This is his fifth indictment. Trump indicted again, but this time for murdering a helpless elderly man on live television. Absolutely brilliant. Here is CNN's palpable panic after the debate.
That I am hearing from Democrats is not like anything that I have heard in this campaign so far. And a lot of it has to do with, first of all, there was a deep frustration about Trump's lies. I mean, he lied a lot tonight. But the problem for Biden was that Trump was able to take sometimes incredible falsehoods and turn them into some kind of argument, whereas Biden's answers were, in a lot of cases, not coherent, deeply problematic, that he was not able to take pretty straightforward answers and answer them to the American public. And then also at some points bringing things up that teed up Trump attacks. So there's a real concern here tonight that there's been some real damage done that cannot be undone. Biden solidified the perception among voters, but especially among his base. They were hoping that tonight would be a game changer. They are now seeing a president who is in the White House, who they do not necessarily believe can do this for another 4 years.
Now, make sure you get what you just said. That don't get distracted about her pathetic accusations about Trump being a liar and so forth. She's trying to keep her job at this point, so she's got to drop stuff like that. What she just said there was so absolutely key. Do you hear what she said? Did you hear what she said? The buried lead in that, there was very real damage done. This is a quote. There was real damage done that cannot be undone. That's an easy way of just basically. That's a layman's way of basically saying you can't spin this. You can't spin this. Trump had a really bad night. Trump, he was lying, but nobody's talking about replacing him. If Trump wasn't good, then Biden was beyond disastrous. There's no equivocating the two. There's no spinning this. Biden's debate, you heard her, Biden's debate was supposed to save his campaign. It only ended up doing further damage to an already damaged campaign. And that damage, according to this far left activist disguised as a journalist over at CNN, she's pathetic. That damage cannot be undone. Voters are not going to be able to unsee this train wreck or car wreck. Even Chris Wallace Freaking Chris Wallace, formerly of Fox, now comfortably situated among his liberal ilk over at CNN. Even Chris Wallace had to look away.
Two of them decided after November of 2022 that he was going to seek the presidency when there were so many people who thought he should have turned it over to a new generation. And this has been, quite frankly, a car accident in slow motion that we've seen over and building and questioning it. And, you know, as has been pointed out, Joe Biden sought this debate at this remarkably early time because he knew he was losing and he needed to change the narrative. And he did change the narrative. He sunk his campaign tonight.
A car accident in slow motion. It's not a train wreck. You could use that metaphor, or you could use Chris Wallace's. It's a car crash in slow motion. And that car crash in slow motion, according to Mr. Chris Wallace, just sunk Biden's campaign. I think he's mixing metaphors there, but we'll leave it there. And did you notice Wallace said the quiet part out loud? Did you notice that? He said the part that everyone in the Biden camp and at CNN have always known, but they've been doing everything they can to hide from us. Biden is losing. Biden's people know he's losing. Biden is losing this election. Chris Wallace just admitted that. Biden is the whole purpose of this debate is because we all know he's losing. And he needed to change the narrative. That's why he forced the debate. And he did change the narrative. The new narrative is now he just sunk his campaign. According to Chris Wallace, the Biden campaign is officially imploded as of last night. That is the assessment, the universal assessment of CNN. Now, not to be undone, here is Democrat operative Van Jones.
There's no two ways about it. That was not a good debate for Joe Biden.
Ben? That was painful. I love Joe Biden. I work for Joe Biden. He didn't do well at all. He did not do well at all. And he looked, I'll give you the analysis, kind of have the old man versus the con man. I can walk you through how I'm supposed to see it and say it, but I just want to speak from my heart. I love that guy. That's a good man. He loves his country. He's doing the best that he can. But he had a test to meet tonight to restore confidence of the country and of the base, and he failed to do that. And I think there's a lot of people who are going to want to see him consider taking a different course now. We're still far from our convention, and there is time for this party to figure out a different way forward if he will allow us to do that. But that was not what we needed from Joe Biden, and it's personally painful for a lot of people. It's not just panic, it's pain for what we saw tonight.
Yeah, again, don't get sidetracked by all the BS he's throwing out there. Focus on the truth. Focus on the clarity. It's not panic, it's pain. It's beyond panic. You got to let that hit you. Last night, according to Van Jones, last night it went beyond panic. Now we're talking actually writhing pain here. This is coming from a former Obama administrative official. And you heard him. He is openly calling on Biden to drop out. I mean, let's just say it. This was a major Democrat figure coming out and openly calling on Biden to drop out and literally end his pain. I mean, there's just no two ways about it. Now, gang, just to put this all in perspective, you have to get this. What that montage you heard earlier and what they're saying now cannot both be true. That montage earlier about Biden being so vigorous and virile and so forth, and what you're hearing now cannot both be true. If Biden is truly at the top of his game, sharp as a tack, well, then he just had a bad night last night. Reagan did in his first debate. Obama did in his first debate against against Romney in 2012. I mean, okay, let's move on. All right, a bad debate. You know, let's dust off and let's get back to work. That's what they would be saying if that montage, everything we heard from that montage was true. But if that was a Grabian, I think, montage, thank you guys again for putting that together. If that montage were a bunch of lies, if they were actively and deliberately covering up for someone they knew was cognitively degenerate, then everything they're saying last night and this morning makes total sense. Because they got caught. The mask got ripped off. You freaking liars. Now, if that was the mood at CNN, you can only imagine. You can only imagine what was happening over at MSNBC. I mean, just roll the tape.
Flight cold as well. So I understand not feeling well. And, you know, obviously Joe Biden comes in with certain deficits. He has a stutter. You know, it is more difficult for him to communicate for that reason. So there's a lot to mitigate the way that he speaks, and you can understand it. And we've observed him for a long time. That said, I too was on the phone throughout much of the debate with Obama world people, with Democrats, with people who are political operatives, with campaign operatives. My phone really never stopped buzzing throughout. And the universal reaction was somewhere approaching panic. The people who were texting with me were very concerned about President Biden seeming extremely feeble, seeming extremely weak. And you know, I'll just reiterate what I said earlier. President Biden had one job tonight, and it was one primary job. And yes, it was to litigate Donald Trump's, you know, criminality and all of those things. But he had to settle his own party. Mm-hmm. He needed to settle Democrats. Democrats, you know, they always talk about Democrats are bedwetters and Democrats are always panicking. Yes, Democrats are always panicking. They're always scared, right? They're always thinking they're going to lose. Like, Democrats are very pessimistic. This is just neurotic. Who they are. They're neurotic. But Joe Biden's job was to reassure them tonight. His job was to calm his party, to make them feel that, yes, I can do this. I have 4 more years in me. I have the ability and the stamina and the strength to do 4 more years. He did not do that. He did the opposite of that. He made them more panicked. Mm-hmm. The people who were texting me were even more panicked. They actually expected it to be better than it was. And now they're in I won't say a full-fledged panic, but it's getting there.
And are people that you're talking to who are expressing these concerns, are these people who are involved in Democratic politics, or are these liberals watching TV?
These are not liberals watching TV. These are campaign people. Mm. These are people who are either Democratic operatives. These are people who are former, you know, sort of Obama world administration people. These are people who are in the business. Okay. So the civilians are also panicking. They're also texting me, but I was trying to kind of ignore the civilians and really talk to the campaign folks. People are... they're worried, and there is, you know, it's not a full drumbeat yet, but there is talk of, look, here's the thing. I know a lot of politicians. I just happen to know a lot of them at a lot of levels. They all believe that they have a unique ability to run the race that they passionately want to run. And I know for a fact that Joe Biden passionately believes that he is the only person who can beat Donald Trump, and he has evidence of it because he did it before. Right. He knows that he has certain demographic strengths that Donald Trump cannot counter. He is the real working class white guy that's actually Donald Trump's base, so he knows how to talk to them. He believes that he is the only person that can do it. The problem is, after tonight, his party doesn't believe that.
Again, don't get distracted by all the blatant nonsense that she just has a habit of spewing out every single night. Stay focused on, again, the truth of what she just said. Just look at it. They look like they were at a funeral. They look like they were at a funeral for someone who just suddenly died. I mean, let's just say it. I mean, the far left activists over at MSNBC looked as if they were staring into the abyss for them of an imminent return of Trump. And if you thought that meltdown was bad, check out what was going on over at the far left Young Turks.
Time the split screen is killing Biden.
Yep.
Because he's got his mouth open, he looks confused, doesn't know where he is. He's lost his train of thought at least twice in like disastrous shape. Those are gonna be played a billion times in viral video after viral video. This is an epic disaster. I see people online saying, well, okay, that answer wasn't so bad. No, it doesn't. Any particular answer doesn't matter at all. This thing is over. He looks like he's barely surviving. I don't mean the debate, I mean life. And so there's no person that has a single brain cell left in their head who thinks that Joe Biden is the best candidate to take on Donald Trump. You would have to be even crazier than Donald Trump to think that. This thing is over. I'll guarantee you this. I would bet show me a Democratic politician and I will bet them any amount of money that Joe Biden's going to lose this election if he's the candidate. It's a guaranteed loss. Whole time.
Our producer Micah just said there that background is not a green screen. It's just whatever Democrat city they're in. That's hilarious. Yeah, here's what senior White House correspondent over at Fox is reporting. I don't know, Jackie Heinrich, according to her sources, quote, very well connected Democrat source tells me the House and the Senate are GOPs for now. The GOP, again, this is what they're concerned about. They're concerned about the down ticket effect of this right now. The Senate is a foregone conclusion at this point, and it looks like Biden just did us the greatest favor ever. We're going to keep the House now because no one's going to be coming out voting for Biden. And if no one's coming out for Biden, the down ticket, Democrats are going to suffer as well. Everyone, again, quote, everyone is freaking out. Biden needs to go, but no way they replace him unless he agrees. So the obvious question that literally everyone is asking this morning is, are the Democrats really going to do this? Are they really going to actively try to replace Joe? That is exactly what we are going to find out. But first, gang, if you are just joining us, if you want to ask me your questions, because YouTube has suspended our super chats, you can click on that link below. Join any one of our levels of support, and you have access to our very own private, exclusive virtual platform where you can ask me all the questions you like. I'll be happy to answer them right here on this live stream. I know we got plenty to talk about today, so it'll be a lot of fun. Also, you know, gang, now it's springtime and the bees are out and buzzing away, but they're doing a lot more than just pollinating. Now, bees are saving America from the woke wave of leftist culture that's trying to wipe out all that's good and true and beautiful. I kid you not, Turley Talks is teaming up with Make Honey Great Again to bring you something truly spectacular. MAGA Honey. Gang, this is unbelievable stuff. I'm telling you, you can now get a 16-ounce bottle of pure, raw, ultra MAGA honey. Packaged in a bottle, looks just like our great president, Donald Trump. This untouched raw honey came straight from 11,000 hives in South Carolina. It's all natural. And I'm telling you, gang, honey just never tasted so good and so sweet, especially coming from a Trump-inspired bottle. It's amazing. So what are you waiting for, gang? Visit MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. Use promo code Turley to show your support. That's MakeHoneyGreatAgain.com. Use promo code Turley. We can make honey and America great again. Click on that link below right now. Yeah, we got Old Country Soap. We got Make Honey Great Again. I mean, just have fun. Celebrate, make it support our sponsors and make America great again. Celebrate it all, gang. All right. So are they going to replace him? Here is the great senator from Ohio, J.D. Vance, a top choice for Trump's VP. He nailed it. Check it out.
What does this mean going forward? What are the Democrats going to do?
Well, look, I think they're going to desperately try to get Joe Biden off the ticket because he was such a disaster tonight.
but they can't. It's too late. They have let their voters, basically they gave them one choice. They gave them the Joe Biden choice, and that's what they're stuck with in presenting this case to the American people. And it's so funny, Sean, you hear Democratic operatives now, and we have the spin room behind us. They're talking about how they don't want Joe Biden on the ticket anymore. Well, what is a bigger threat to democracy than running this entire primary process and then effectively throwing a guy off because he had a disastrous debate performance? This is the choice that Democrats have offered the American people. I'm proud that Republicans offered a different choice, and I think they're going to make the right one.
That was so brilliant. I love JD. I mean, I do agree with Rich Barris, particularly that he ought to stay in Ohio. We need him in the Senate, but dang, he would be an awesome VP. All right. That was Brent. The Democrats, his basic point there was the Democrats only have themselves to blame for this. Or more properly speaking, the Democrat leadership. Keep in mind, think about that. The Democrats forced Joe Biden onto their voters. They rigged their primaries in such a way that intentionally blocked real challengers like Bobby Kennedy. He actually had to leave the Democrat Party. It was so corrupt. They wouldn't allow him to compete fairly. They purposely put the South Carolina primary ahead of the New Hampshire primary so Biden wouldn't get embarrassed again with a low vote count, and especially so much going to RFK, him being up there in New England and Massachusetts. Biden was embarrassed in New Hampshire back in 2020. I think he came in 5th at the time. It was pretty disastrous. So bottom line, they rigged the whole process and forced Biden on their voters. And now what are those exact Democrat operatives doing right now, including the legacy media? Because they were all behind that fix. They were all fine with it. Now what are they doing? Those same pathetic, slimy, deceitful Democrat operatives are all now panicking, wanting to unilaterally remove Joe as their nominee. Sorry, scumbags. I think they're stuck with him. I agree with Vance. I think it's too late. I've tried to figure out, I've looked, I don't know how they can legally, this close to the election, I don't know how they can actually legally or logistically pull off a substitute. The AP has a great piece. It came out this morning detailing precisely how hard, if not impossible, it would be for the Democrats to pull off a switcheroo this late in the game. And look, bottom line, when all said and done, the delegates that Biden won during the primaries are legally bound to Biden. They could go to court over that. Okay, there's no way around that. Democratic rules mandate that the delegates Biden won remain bound to support him at the party's upcoming national convention unless Biden tells them he's leaving the race, unless he voluntarily bows out. And he made it, and then there's two problems with that. Number one, he made it absolutely clear last night at the after debate party Jill made it absolutely clear. Who's probably the most cruel human being on the planet at this point, but they made it absolutely clear Joe has no intention of dropping it. He's going. I mean, people don't give up power voluntarily. That's number one. And then number two, even if he were to drop out, Kamala can't just replace him. The vice president is Biden's running mate, but that does, as according to the AP's study, that does not mean she can just swap in for him at the top of the ticket by default. Biden also cannot just decree that she replace him should he suddenly decide to leave the race. The moment that Biden abandons this campaign, you will see a whole flock of buzzards flying in to replace his carcass. And you all know who they are, right? I don't think Michelle Obama's in. I don't know. We'll see, but I don't see it. I don't see any evidence of it. But certainly Gruesome Newsom, who's even seen as more slimy and pathetic than Biden. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who again is not very popular. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, again, nobody knows him. Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, Pete Buttigieg. To call this a contested convention wouldn't even come close to describing it. It is a disaster in every conceivable possible way. What have I been saying these last several months? If you've been with this channel for the last several months, and if not, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. But if you're a regular to this channel, you'll know I repeat it every single week. This is a refrain of this channel. What have I been saying? What is Biden's Achilles heel? It's not the economy. It's not inflation. It's not the southern border. It's not violent crime epidemics. It's not the threat of nuclear war. All those things are serious enough. Trump hammered every one of those like a machine last night. It was brilliant. But there is a subtext to all of that chaos. And what's the subtext? What is Biden's ultimate Achilles heel? His age and senility. It's his obvious degenerative senility. This is Biden's ultimate Achilles heel. And the reason for that is very simple. Everything else can be reversed. I mean, conceivably. The economy could conceivably be reversed, right? Biden's disastrous murderous border policies can be reversed. His foreign policy, murderous foreign policy can be reversed. His inflation, any and every issue out there can be reversed, except his senility. His age and senility are the only things in this campaign that have no possibility whatsoever of reversing themselves. This is and has always been Biden's Achilles heel. And the Democrats in the legacy media have admitted over the last 12 years they always knew that. Remember, those two things can't both be that. That montage we saw and the reactions we saw last night cannot possibly both be true. Either Biden is as sharp as a tack. What did scumbag Scarborough say? He is sharpest he's ever been. He's at the top of his game. I don't care what you think. And then he's got that funny. I don't care what you think. I'm going to tell you the truth now. Biden's at the top of his game. Talk about two people who maybe we may need to reserve some rooms for. Those both can't be true. If Biden is sharp as a tack, is top of his game, then what happened last night was unfortunately a fluke. All right. Again, Reagan, very bad first debate with Mondale. Obama, very, very bad first debate with Romney. Okay. Again, dust off, get back to it. They both can't be true. Biden is either at the top of his game or he's got to leave this campaign. He is not cognitively fit for this job. Well, we all know. Let's put it this way. The media was either lying then or they're lying now. And I'll let you choose which. They have spent all this time trying to convince you, trying to gaslight you into thinking that you're not seeing what you obviously see when it comes to Biden. And that's because they know that if most voters believe Biden does have dementia, that if he is cognitively declined, they're not going to vote for him. It's that simple. They'll vote for someone else. They'll stay home, but they're not going to be voting for him. And so they've been doing everything they can for the last 3.5 years to get you to believe them over your own eyes. And last night, that all came crashing down on them. I don't know. They must have thought that the drugs could carry Biden through it. They put all their hope in the witch doctors at the White House. I don't know. But as of last night, those hopes among our left-wing activists disguised as journalists in the legacy media were colossally dashed. The Biden presidency has, for all practical purposes, come to an end. And you know the biggest irony of it all? We've actually got CNN and the legacy media to thank for it. Over to you, gang, as our moderators, Josh and Micah, assemble your questions. Remember, if you want to ask me your questions today, I know you got tons to talk about, whatever you want to talk about. Because YouTube has suspended our super chats, just click on that link below. Join any one of our levels of support. You have access to our own virtual platform where you can ask me all your questions. I'll be happy to answer them on this live stream. And one last thing.
I'll be back.
That's right. He is back. It is time to show our support and celebrate the great return by clicking on that link below and getting your very own Trumpinator 2024 bobblehead in preparation for Donald Trump's glorious, awesome, amazing reascendance to the United States presidency. This collectible bobblehead from Proud Patriots is made with the highest quality material and really is a must-have for any Trump fan who wants to send some positive energy towards what's shaping up to be the single most glorious political comeback in history. Now, don't wait. There are just a limited number of these collectibles. You don't want to be caught paying way more later on eBay from someone who bought one now. Don't wait till November. Do it now, right? Whatever you do, don't wait. Click on that link below and show your support for Trump 2024 today. Absolutely amazing. Now, I got mine right back there. He watches over us on that top mantle up there. All right, what do we got? He terminated. Oh, yeah, Micah, you got all the great one-liners. Micah said he terminated Biden last night. He sure did. All right, what do we got? Paul, great to see you, Paul. At one time, I worked as a funeral director. Part of my job was to transport and clean up the dead. In my opinion, Paul, you're too funny. Biden looked very much like my former clients. By the way, I saw a small flesh-colored earpiece in Biden's left ear. Just saying, a lot of people were talking about that. I noticed that last night. Sitting through the debate, he was scratching his ear quite a bit. Again, it didn't help him. Look, you know it was rigged. You know CNN gave him the questions ahead of time. We know it. Donna Brazile did it last time around. We know it. It was rigged. And that's what made last night, I think, in the end, actually, in many respects, remember, the legacy media, they don't talk to us. They don't care about us. Okay. We're just fodder. All right. They're talking to their fellow political class members. They're talking to their cosmopolitan class, the ruling elite. And they're basically saying, guys, we did everything we possibly could to save this guy. There's no saving him. We got to switch him out. So they're telling, I mean, those conversations you were hearing in those funeral parlor commentaries there, panels, they clearly were messages to the Democratic Party's leadership. You got to do something. This is as dire as it gets. If we don't do something, we're going to get Trump 47. This is insane. Thanks, Paul. Terry, aren't the Democrats in a pickle? They can't afford to assassinate both Biden and Harris. Otherwise, they get a third President Johnson. So if any replacement is to happen, Biden must agree. Is there a reasonable probability in this universe that he will? I don't see it. I mean, again, what they were saying in the reports just last week is if Biden does poorly in the debate, then they would have to get the major Democrat leadership. So that would be Obama, Clinton, Schumer, and Pelosi. And they would all have to have a meeting with Biden and try to convince him to give it up. But again, Biden's people don't want him to give it up. That means if Biden goes, they go. It's a new administration that comes in. Yeah, there may be some crossover, but people don't give up power voluntarily like that. So no, I don't see it at this point. Again, we'll see. This is a crazy election. No one saw that kind of disaster. We all knew Biden was going to fumble and bumble and have his brain farts and all that. We all knew that. But I don't think anyone expected the debate to be that bad. And I mean, we just thought he was going to be so lubed up, flying high, just like like with the State of the Union. Now that wore off about a half an hour into it. You started messing up names, and he couldn't remember it. He couldn't finish his thoughts and the like. So I don't know. We'll see. At this point, it doesn't look. I think they're stuck with him. Lynn, why is no one paying attention to the 2 revelations from last week? Susan Rice's memo about promoting the registration of illegal immigrants for November 2024 elections, and the flyer being distributed to the illegal immigrants, encouraging them to vote for Biden, with only 3 states require IDs and migrants getting Social Security numbers and photo IDs. What protection is there against this fraud? Yeah, Lynn, I don't know. Let me ask you. You tell me. I mean, what are you doing to stop it? If you're just going to be Denethor and jump off a freaking bridge, do it. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you. This kind of hysterics, I just don't know what to say. I mean, contact your Republican representatives, volunteer as a poll worker or as a precinct officer, and make sure you're on the front lines to prevent this crap from happening. But if that's happening and that's all that's happening, well, then we're stuck with 4 years of Biden, and then we're going to have to rethink now red state, sanctuary state strategy to create an arc among 30 states to protect us from the obviously degenerating debilitations of DC. But enough with the panic. I don't know what to tell you there, other than illegal immigrants cannot vote in federal elections legally. That cannot happen. If they're doing it, the Democrats are flagrantly breaking the law. And so get in touch with the proper authorities, especially your representative, to make sure it doesn't happen. It's that simple. I just stop spreading, hysteria when we're having a freaking awesome moment here. Sorry, Lynn. I'm just saying this whole illegal immigrant thing is just kind of crazy. Do something about it and stop complaining about it. Vlad the Impaler, every Democrat candidate for pres would have sold their soul to be installed as the president of the United States. Why would they choose to go along with the senile has-been like Biden? The chickens are coming home to roost. Now, I agree with you 1,000%. This would be a massively, massively contested seat. They are not, if they see Biden is out and they see a window for the next 8 years of power, that all the vultures are coming out, man. There's just no way around it. It's not going to be Michelle Obama. I just don't buy it, man. Michelle Obama does not want to have Trump calling her Mike Obama for the next 130 days. She's just not, she's lazy. She's not into it. I think it was Rich Barris was talking about this. I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Anyway. John, all the polls showed Trump in a landslide. However, illegal voters, here we go again, are not included in the polls. Your thoughts on the possibility of large numbers of illegal voters tossing the election to the Democrats? If you don't do anything about it, John, they will. How's that? That's just, I'm going to say it. I'm just going to be blunt. Tell me what we're going to do about that. We've been talking about illegal voters for ages now. And I get it. 2020 was pretty bad, but it's not going to be 2020 again. Arizona, Georgia, and Wisconsin have fortified their elections against that, generally speaking. Now, again, it can happen. I don't know what to tell you. But what do you want me to tell you? What are we going to do? What are we going to do? You got to contact your representatives. You got to contact your election officials and make sure they're not allowing illegals to vote. Period. It's that simple. I mean, what do you want? There you go. Ulf Peterschut, should we be happy or worried about the Democrats' thoughts about replacing Biden? Very happy, extremely happy. No, there is no other Democrat that polls as high as Biden right now. Hillary, not Michelle, certainly not Gruesome Newsom. They all poll worse. Gruesome Newsom will probably not win a single Midwestern state. I mean, forget Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania. He's gone. He's done. Josh Shapiro, possibly. But again, the governor of Pennsylvania. But again, nobody knows him. We're 130 days from the election. And I don't even know how they would do it. I don't know how they would do it. It would be a mess. So I think it's pretty astonishing what's going on. Kenneth, Dr. Turley, given Biden's eerie, stiff, and rote performance last night, juxtaposed with Kamala Harris's and Gavin Newsom's unpopularity, it seems clear the DNC will be forced to desperately and openly attempt another cheat in November. Do you believe this will finally be the undoing of the Democratic Party? Well, we'll see. I don't. That's pretty ambitious in terms of the total undoing. And I don't know how they're going to be able to cheat the way they did in an election where 70% of the ballots cast were all mail-in ballots. 200,000 of which were thrown out by a Wisconsin Supreme Court because ballot harvesting is now illegal in Wisconsin. It's not and it's radically regulated now in Arizona and Georgia. We're not seeing 2020 again. Now, Kenneth, you might have a point. Well, they'll have to concoct it, but let's put it this way. Let's just put it this way. If Biden wins on November 5th, I think the vast majority of the country will be very worried and will be very, very concerned. Let's just put it that way. And the election and the executive branch of the government will go through such an implosion of legitimacy so as to make the Berlin Wall look integral in terms of its structure. I mean, I think we're going to be entering dangerous territory right now as we speak. I think if the election were held today and Biden were to win, I think the vast majority of the country would be very concerned about that, which suggests he's not going to win. Chris, good morning, Dr. Steve. Why is that the Democratic Party is talking about replacing a democratically elected candidate? Because they're Democrats. Yeah, I love it. Why is the Democratic Party talking about replacing a democratically elected candidate? It's about as absurd. It's about as absurd as the CNN panel, Dana Bash and Jake Tapper asking Trump if he is running to be dictator. If the Republicans are actively trying to vote to get rid of democracy. I mean, we live in post-normal times, man. It's called post-truth society. And it's just, we have there's a lot of cognitive dissonance in our national discourse today. And you pointed out brilliantly. Rock dog, Dr. Steve, I have a feeling the chances of World War III happening before November increased 1 million-fold last night. Thought could be. Nothing's going to save them. I don't see it. If anything, people are just going to see World War III as an outworking of the subtext of his cognitive unraveling. If international relations unravel, it's just a subtext. It's just a reflection of the subtext of his cognitive unraveling. Patriot, I played Biden bingo with my Republican friends. He had mentioned Uncle Bozy. I would have had a bingo. Had he mentioned Uncle Bozy, I had a bingo. I'm sorry, Patriot Jules. I'm sorry you didn't mention Bozy. Rock Dog, Dr. Steve, after last night, what do you see is going to be the VP? I still hoping it's Tucker. Tucker makes Trump assassination proof. Well, again, I love the way you're thinking, Rock Dog. You're thinking exactly the way I'd be thinking with a VP. They've got, it's insurance. They've got to be more radical and more feared than Trump, or else Trump's not going to make it out of the inauguration without being impeached a third time. I don't know. Again, I know there was a possibility he was going to reveal it last night if things weren't going well. That was the theory. If things weren't going to go well, Trump had an ace in his sleeve, as it were, and he was going to pull out the VP, his VP choice, and then that would dominate the headlines today. Burgum's okay. I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. I love Ben Carson. I think he's a great man. He's a bit uncharismatic, but again, that's okay. The DC establishment hates him and is scared of him. I find Rubio far too establishment, far too rhino prone. I love JD Vance. Absolutely love JD Vance. And but I frankly want to see him stay in the Senate. I think Ohio's going to have 2 amazing MAGA senators by November, but Vance is phenomenal. And I like Vivek. I like a Trump Vivek ticket. I've thought about it. I've marinated it in my thoughts, and I think Vivek is amazing. I think he brings high tech. I think he brings the youth vote. I think he brings an extraordinary level of brain trust. So any one of those would be, and Tucker, obviously Tucker, but it doesn't look like Tucker's going to be it. It doesn't. I mean, he's in Australia right now, so it doesn't look like he's going to be it. And according to Trump, his VP was there last night. So that's Vivek. That's Vance. Who else was there? I forget. Was Burgum there? I can't remember. Patriot Jules, Steve, I wouldn't get excited yet. They don't play fair. Granted. They could stick anyone in there they want. That's not true, Jules. That it's going to be a lot more complicated than that. This could have been planned. AOC and the rapper. This is just scary times. My idiot Democrat husband thinks Biden did great and stormed off to bed in another room. Yeah. My daughter's voting for him. My husband's brother, sister, all voting for him. Yes, my family is more important, but Jesus, I would rather move to Trump City and work for nothing for him. People, I hear you. I hear you, Patriot Jules. I get it. I get it. No, we just, yeah. Mike is saying Jimmy Carter could run again. Yeah, they're basically at the same cognitive level at this point. No, I mean, you just have to go based on granted, you've got some pretty hardcore supporters there, but for the left, but you have to go by what the powers that be are saying, and they clearly recognize this is beyond a disaster. So yes, 35% of the public will definitely vote for him. But Biden had a job last night, and it was a formidable job, but they thought he was up to the task. And that job was to basically convince the 20% of voters in all polls that we see consistently. His job was to convince the 20% of 2020 voters for Biden to come back to him. About 20% of his 2020 vote are either voting for Trump, voting for someone else, or just not voting at all. They're just not happy with Biden. They didn't like Trump at the time. They didn't like what was going on. They voted for Biden. It was easy. It was simple. Now, 4 years later, they're not voting for him again. So he's hemorrhaged about 20% of his base. By the way, Trump has not. Everyone who voted for Trump in 2020 is fully ready to vote for him again. Okay, we're talking more votes than any incumbent has ever received in human history, in the history of presidential politics. So that's what Biden would have to pull off in a non-70% mail-in ballot election. So he's hemorrhaged about 20% of his vote. And he knew, and you've seen the numbers. Trump has record numbers among blacks. He touted it last night. Record number among black support, Latino support, young people under 30 support. That's that 20%. So they've either gone over to Trump, they are voting for RFK or someone else, or they're not voting. Biden's job was to get him back. Last night, Biden failed miserably. He not only failed to get those voters back, he probably failed in the sense he ended up losing even more voters as a result. I mean, it was that much of an abject disaster. So there you go. That's what happened last night. And Dr. Sue, do you think the Democrats will come up with a new strategy to replace Biden and cheat their way into the White House in some other way? Thank you. Well, they'll come up with one, of course. That's what they do. Democrats are going to fill their job description, which is duplicity and deception and deceit. So, yeah, they'll try it. Whether it'll work or not with this particular candidate, well, you're saying maybe they're going to replace Biden. Again, I don't know how they may, but every day that passes, we're a day closer to deadlines being met in terms of the printing of the ballots, in terms of the names being officially put on the ballots. And you don't just get to take a name off a ballot. It doesn't happen that way. The candidate that you chose has to be up to the task of actually being around in November. And if he's not, we really don't have a process to replace him. It's going to be messy, to say the least. And it's just going to make the Democrats weaker as a result. And it's going to split the party because not everyone's going to be happy. Rock Dog, Dr. Steve, do you believe that Pedo Joe's poll numbers are going to be falling faster than Bill Clinton's pants? With an intern. All right, from now on, you guys got to screen Rock Dog's questions. They're so funny, dude. We got to save these and like print these up in a little book or something and put it as a free download. These are great. Yes, I do expect his poll numbers to go down and go down significantly. In many ways, they already have. Remember, Trump never broke a 40% threshold in CNN snap polling after a debate. So whenever CNN snap polled after a debate that they hosted, their audience, which is we all know predominantly Democrat. Last night was different. We're all watching from different angles. I was watching on Twitter. Nevertheless, Trump has never. I'm having a Biden moment. And we beat Medicare. COVID. Trump has never broken the 40% threshold when you have a snap poll in terms of who you thought won. Last night, he hit almost 70%. I think it was 68%, 66, 68%. It was unprecedented. It was stunning. Molly, good take on this, Dr. Steve. Now is not the time to gloat. It's a time to pray and to work hard to overcome all the left is going to throw at us. Our country needs reality more than ever before. Thank you and God bless. Amen, Molly. Amen. Make sure you are praying for President Trump. Make sure we're, as Christians, we pray for President Biden as well. I do. I pray for Biden and Trump together. And I ask God to cut through the lies, to cut through the deceit, and please allow his truth to shine forth in the midst of a broken politics. So pray for them both. Absolutely. And I do pray for President Trump's protection as well, because he seems to be under such assault. Jeffrey, Steve, with Newsom coming to the rescue, do you think Trump needs a huge policy change that literally brings up to 80% of the national vote across all political platforms? Your thoughts? I don't know where you're going. Oh, are you saying maybe it's an opportunity now to get about 80% of the country? Like Nayib Bukele, right, in El Salvador? 85%. Thank you very much. Maybe that'd be cool if that's where you're coming from. Because again, to be clear, right now, at least, Gruesome Newsom is even less popular than Biden. Gruesome Newsom is considered to be a slimeball. Even in California, they don't like him. Okay, he's routinely unpopular in California, subject to recalls, you name it. So, if he's not liked in California, how do you think he's going to do in Pennsylvania, or Wisconsin, or Michigan, right, or Georgia? So, no, and in Arizona, among all the Californians that left California because of him, right? So, no, he'd be a disaster. So you're right. Either that might be. I love Trump's idea of just getting rid of income tax and replacing it with tariffs. I think that's amazing. We could do that for the foreseeable future. We could totally do that. It seems to me, just because of how much we import. So I could see that. That would be amazing. The no tax on tips is awesome for the service industry. My son is a waiter. He loves the idea, of course. So yeah, I mean, bottom line, 66% of America is basically MAGA. They want border security, they want economic security, they want cultural security. 66%. Now those 66% not all like Trump. No problem. But I think he has the opportunity to make people kind of like him. You know, he's funny. We've all seen him at Trump rallies. He's funny. He's engaging. You saw him at that CNN town hall a few weeks back. We're slapping around that host. What was her name? Kate Collins, I forget. Just slapping her around, just having fun. Never got upset. Never got mad. He did that last night. I was so glad to see that Trump show up. He was sharp. He was witty. I don't know what he just said there, and I don't think he knows what he said. Do we have that one, Josh? I think that's clip number 2. I don't know what he just said there, and I don't think he knows what he said.
The total initiative relative to what we can do with more border patrol and more asylum officers.
President Trump?
I really don't know what he said at the end of that sentence. I don't think he knows what he said either. Look, we had the.
That was brilliant. That was just pure brilliance. I mean, that was just absolutely pure brilliance. So I think the more Trump does that, I think the more people warm up to him, and who knows, we might see a 55 to 60% vote. Well, we'll see. We'll see. All those illegals, maybe, I don't know, but we'll see. And again, what's to guarantee the illegals would vote for Biden? Dan the Man, how do you think all the court cases will play out after this debate? Will the judges double down on their decisions, or they begin to back off for fear of losing their positions? Well, it's interesting. We just got breaking news from SCOTUS, from Supreme Court. They've overturned the Department of Justice's use of the 1512C2, which is a statute that they use to prosecute J6 protesters. So this is a major win for these political prisoners, and it's a significant setback for the Biden regime. So that's huge. That was just announced today. So we'll have to see how many people are going to get set free as a result of that decision. I don't know what Manchin is going to do, or Merchant. I don't know what the Merchant of Doom is going to do here with Trump sentencing. It almost, I mean, the way Trump played it off last night, where he said, look, I'm getting attacked because this guy obviously can't win fair and square because he's not all there. So now they're trying to lock me up so he can get. I mean, now with the tens of millions of people who saw that last night, they would only be. I mean, they'd only be signing their own, demise warrant, shall we say, metaphorically speaking. I think. I think they need to back off. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. They just may double down on desperate. We'll see. I have no idea how to read a Democrat when they're incredibly desperate. Lucas, as far as Biden dropping out and a different candidate, how likely is that Gavin Newsom will take his place? What are the procedures here? Isn't there a deadline that these people are supposed to meet in order to appear on the ballot? Yes, to all of that, Lucas. I think it's at. My sense is that it can't be done at this point. We're too late in the game. We're 130 days out from the election. And I get how come on live? I think live streams I get B's. I think must be a little hole in my studio here, but they come out for some reason during the live streams. And I know it's because the lights are nice and warm. And okay, well, maybe they'll make some honey. Make America great honey, right? Make honey great again. I think, there is no precedent for this that I know of. LBJ dropped out early. I forget when it was. Was it March of 68? I forget. It was something like that. You guys could look that up. But he dropped out early and allowed for a primary to decide who would then ultimately get the delegates to win the nomination. We're ahead of this now. All the primary season's over. It's done. It's done. Biden's won all his delegates. You don't get to just pick up those delegates and give them over to somebody that the voters didn't vote for. It's just that simple. Now Biden can bow out voluntarily, but once he does that, there's really no clear sense of what they do to avoid a contested nomination. Because again, Gavin ain't the only guy out there. You got Gretchen Whitmer, you got Josh Shapiro, you got Sanders, you got Warren, you got Klobuchar, you got Buttigieg, of course, you got Kamala. I mean, Kamala's like, anyway, VP, right? So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. The very fact that we're even having this conversation 130 days out from this election shows how panicked they are. Can we get a, Lucas, can we get a full caveman style breakdown of the law regarding Biden being replaced? What exactly is and isn't possible? So that's the breakdown of the AP that I was giving you earlier. Bottom line, as I understand it, the delegates that Biden won during the primaries are legally bound to Biden. That's number one. If you don't get there, a lot of people treat delegates as just their, I don't know, they're like a baseball that you could just throw around to different candidates. No, under the rules set by the DNC itself, legally speaking, the delegates that Biden won during the primaries are legally bound to Biden. They are legally bound to support Biden at the party's upcoming national convention. That's number one. Number two, the caveat, all bets are off if and when he ends up leaving the race. If he voluntarily steps down, which he said at the in the after debate party that he would not. Well, but again, these guys are liars. But in the after debate party, both he and Jill made it clear. He and Lady Macbeth made it clear they are not dropping out. So right now, whether Democrats like it or not, they are stuck with him. Okay. Now, again, I'm reading off the AP's write-up here in terms of the process, but according to the AP, delegates elected to the national convention are pledged to a presidential candidate. Who are pledged to a presidential candidate shall in good conscience reflect the sentiments of those who elected them. In other words, if you are a delegate that's been assigned to Biden, you must vote for Biden. Now, let's say Biden bows out. Well, now what? Well, again, according to the AP, he can't just appoint Kamala because, again, people didn't vote for Kamala. They voted for Biden. Kamala's name was not on the primary ballot. It was Biden's. He could, if he wanted to, he could switch out his running mate. No problem. Right? So Kamala can't just simply replace him. The vice president is Biden's running mate, but that doesn't mean they get to swap to the top of the ticket, like, for example. And he can't decree that she replace him. There are no rules in the DNC that would allow for that. So then that leads us to the third conclusion, right? So one, the delegates are bound to Biden. Two, Biden, if worried to bow out, could not unilaterally choose his successor, even the vice president. If he bows out, that nomination is now officially open. So three, that's when you see the buzzards flying around. And I don't know what they're going to do to try to find out who gets it, because the primaries are over. And the buzzards, as I mentioned, are people like Newsom and Whitmer and, Buttigieg and Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren and the like. They're all going to be, I got an opportunity. Power vacuum. So there you go. That to me is the caveman style, the knuckle dragon style breakdown of the law. I think there's a law that binds the delegates to the person the voters voted for. But once that person steps down, I think all bets are off. It gets chaotic at that point. Samuel, question, sort of 35 years of geriatric medicine. There is no drug to fix Biden. If there were, I'd be on it. I love it. How about you? Of course I would, Samuel. You and I. Love it. Linda, hello, Dr. Steve. Do you agree with Steve Bannon that we are in a constitutional crisis? The 25th Amendment needs to be invoked today for the security of the country. The public needs to know who's running the country. Yeah, I mean, Bannon's doing what Bannon does best. He smells blood and he goes for it. They're not gonna call for the 25th. That's not gonna happen. And again, this is all the minutia to just kind of pile on the disaster, increase the disaster, and increase the damage. Bottom line, I mean, last night was about as bad as it could possibly get for a presidential nominee. And fortunately, it was the other side. It was the Democrats. Trump had a great night. Trump did terrific, did exactly what he needed to do. And I think next week, the polls are going to be possible. We'll see. I mean, again, they may be just fixed at this point, just in terms of the division of the country. But we may possibly see something Reagan Mondale. We'll see. I don't know, but it could be a landslide of the likes we haven't seen in a long time. Gerald, Dr. Steve, how do you think this will affect the July 11th sentencing of Trump? Don't Dems realize it's hard to double down at this point? Yeah, that's Gerald. I'm with you. I think it would be foolish and silly to do it, but who knows how Democrats react when they're cornered? I mean, they're insane. They're nuts in general. So I have no idea what they're going to do on July the 11th. Fast Alan, do the Democrats have a snowball's chance in Hades of coming back from this? Do they leave Biden in there as a sacrificial lamb, or throw Hilly or Milky into Mikey? Sorry, Hilly or Mikey to take the bullet? I think then the T's left off. Right now So again, if we allow CNN and MSNBC and Fox and the New York Times and Politico and the Washington Post to all sort of assess it for us, if we just sit back and passively allow our enemies, as it were, to speak for themselves, they are in a heap of shit, and they know it. I mean, they're literally saying this is damage that cannot be undone. Remember, it's not as though Biden just lost the lead. It's not as though last night they're all pissed because it was the ninth inning and they were leading, 5-3, and then Biden threw a fastball straight down and Trump swung and hit a grand slam. It's not that. Trump was already leading 6-3. Okay. Trump was already beating Biden. Trump was already tied with Biden in Virginia and Minnesota. This is beyond insane. Or throw Hilly Mike to take the bullet for that. Oh, I see what you mean. My staff is telling me how you finished at the end. I mean, there's no way around this. I mean, Trump was already starting to head into landslide territory with, the last time we were talking about a Republican winning Virginia, plausibly winning Virginia, he was still behind, but he was nipping up within the margin of error, was 2016. And how did that turn out for the Democrats, right? Trump is winning every single swing state, some handily. Florida and North Carolina have been taken off the swing state list because they're so solid red. By the way, Iowa and Ohio has also, if you notice, been taken off swing state. They used to be considered. Iowa never was. It ended up becoming it in 2016 because it looked like it was going back and forth. It was very, very strange. But nevertheless, it was always solid blue, by the way. Now it's solid red. It's MAGA red. I mean, if that was the electoral map before this debate, if the McLaughlin group had Trump within the margin of error in Washington State, Oregon, and New Jersey, if Lee Zeldin wrote in the New York Post the op-ed just days before last night's debate that Trump has a very real chance of flipping New York, if that was all happening before this debate, you can only imagine what they are terrified of waking up to on Monday morning with the weekend polling. So there you go. I mean, this was a disaster. This was as bad as it gets. Samuel, the Julian Assange deal. The question is, why now? Some who report reading it says that among the conditions is the destruction of all evidence against Clinton. Do you agree with this? Any insights? It's disheartening to see that the most corrupt power players, far beyond just Clinton, will not meet justice. I know it is disheartening, but that's the story of the ages. You know, Herod often doesn't see justice. Justice is for the Lord. Good question. Now, I heard the opposite. I heard Julian Assange was let out in order to keep Hillary in. I mean, like cloistered behind closed doors, keep her out because he has secrets he could reveal. So I don't know the connection there. I did a video on this. I'm very, very glad he's out. I believe he was a detrimental threat to the deep state, not to our national security. The two were not the same. And I am so ecstatic to see that he has been liberated and allowed to go back home to Australia. And I think he's going to be a hero for the rising national civilizationalist populist movements all over the world. Mevi Daloka. I believe the stolen 2020 election installation of Bidufus will be seen by future historians as the beginning of the complete and total collapse of the Democratic Party for the next 100 years. Amen. From your lips to God's ears. I would love that. Fastelan, should the Republicans start to focus more on the House and Senate to get control of it? They also need to get their leadership straight now. Absolutely. Amen. Yeah. The specter of John Boehner continues to haunt our speakers of the House. Yeah, absolutely. Senate, House, you name it. They can go for it. This is now a holistic election where the top of the Democrat ticket has imploded, and then the domino effect down ticket is soon to follow. William, if Dems are looking for something positive to take away and possibly put in a pro Biden, he did successfully descend those stairs with minimal assistance. I was going to play that tonight. I just decided we had so much. It was an hour live stream just in content tonight. So yes, that was just the cherry on top. I mean, just seeing Jill leading that gingerly frail man down those steps was insane. And then you see Trump, you're just kind of walking off backstage. I mean, the contrast could not be more stark. Tim, hey, Dr. Steve, I've been watching and following you for several years. However, this is my first live stream participation. Thanks, Tim. Very appreciated. My question is this. When President Trump wins again in November, could and would the left try to assassinate him while he's meeting Biden in the White House for the transfer of power? Good question. Again, probably not. I mean, they'll try. They'll try anything, I'm sure, but no, probably not. That would be so blatant and obvious. And again, that would only be if his VP was acceptable to the powers that be. And it looks like he's choosing a VP that will not be acceptable to the establishment. But then again, the VP could be there. So I wouldn't worry about that, Tim. Jennifer, I haven't heard or seen anything about invoking the 25th. Have you? What's her take on that? Yeah, so Steve Bannon's talking about that. He's pushing that, as he should. That's what Steve does. I mean, he's awesome. He smells blood and he's like a shark and he goes right for it. So yeah, they're pushing the 25th right now in the social media sphere. I don't think you'll see it. I don't see it. That would be a very interesting way of trying to get rid of Biden in order to make room for others. But again, it would be so messy. And what does the media say? I mean, the media's been telling us he's as sharp as a tack. He's in his finest form he's ever been. And now we're going to turn around and say he's not cognitively fit to serve. I mean, so I don't know. I don't see it. And even if they did, who's going to take over? I mean, it could be Kamala, but they see Kamala as absolutely, beyond disaster. So anyway. Mike, wouldn't Jason Palmer be the runner up for the Democrat ticket since he won third place below uncommitted to legally place Biden? Maybe that's where they'll defer to. Maybe they'll go to that. That'll be very below uncommitted. I love that. That is so clever, Mike. Below uncommitted. They're way down. You got Palmer. So I guess so. Yeah. Is that the one who got third place below uncommitted? That's great. It's they may defer to those rules. We'll see. Tommy, Dr. Steve, is there any recourse the Dems have other than the 25th Amendment, which would be immediate to force Joe out of the race? I've heard you talk of the deadlines and other issues, but can they force Joe out if he won't step down? As I understand, it would be the 25th. That's the only way they could. Yeah. Legally, licitly. That's the only way they could. And I just don't see it at this point. Again, it would make a messy situation even messier. I think right now, all they're going to try to do is dress him up and basically just try to make him as presentable as possible. I don't think you're going to see I doubt that was probably the only debate you're going to see. I doubt we'll see a second debate. Remember, the rules for it, the forum, the structure for it has not been agreed to yet. And I think, I don't know. Trump is just showing off at this point, especially when we start talking about his golf game. I mean, that was like taking a dog snack and then just leading Biden around. I mean, that was almost cruel. You can't even hit a ball 50 feet, I mean, it's just, I think they're going to do everything they can to dress him up, make him as presentable as possible, try to save the down ticket as best they can, hope enough illegal aliens vote, and hope for the best. That's basically what they have. One more, I see. We got one more. Mary, considering the results of the debate last night, do you think the next scheduled debate in September will materialize? Look at that, Mary. We're simpatico. We're thinking no at this point. No, I don't. I think Biden at this point is one and done. And again, even it's so funny. Even if Trump turned around and turned the debate down, said no thanks, I'm just not even going to bother. No one's going to fault him for it. No one's going to say, "Oh, you're scared to debate." Obviously not. That's not going to work. So it was a disaster, just plain and simple. Biden's presidency, in many respects, ended last night. So there you go. All right. Oh, we got one more. Festival. Well, anything. Oh, is that it? No. All right, gang. Have a wonderful, blessed weekend this weekend. Stay in prayer, as always. And I will see you Monday as we analyze the fallout, the full 48, 72-hour fallout from this astonishing, unprecedented event. God bless you all. We'll see you.